Tora Katsugi. I'm not going to show the traditional version of this. I don't think it's acceptable for public viewing, but I'm happy to show you when we get a chance to get back together in person. What I'm going to show you is the version that we typically practice in class, which will help you be able to do the traditional version when and if you need to do that. Today what I'm mostly going to focus on is the belt part, getting the belt off quickly and safely. I often see people when they're testing or practicing this, one person does it and then they just give the belt to the other person, or you have an extra belt waiting by to do this. I really like to do this using my own belt, and it can be done quickly and efficiently, and that's the part that I want to focus on today. It's partly going to have to do with how you tie your belt. The main way I tie my belt is I just fold it in half. You see how quickly that came off? A lot of people do this. I put it against the front, they'll wrap it around, and then they'll tie it off. A couple problems that I find with that is when you're actually sort of resting around, particularly when you're on the ground and your belt comes undone, and then you end up getting kind of tied up in your belt and you're trying to wrestle somebody. If you wrestle around at all, you've had that happen to you at some point when you're trying to do that. The nice thing about this is once it comes unloose, it'll just basically fall off you and you don't get tied up in your own belt. Also, you can see how quickly it comes off so that we can use this technique. So all I do is I fold the belt in half, I put it on behind me, like so. Slide the two loose ends through the loop. Get it as tight as you want. Be careful on this one not to make it too tight. The nice thing about this is it's a really tight knot and it stays in there pretty well. So if it's too tight and you tie it off, it's not going to loosen up. So get it snug, but with enough room to move around. One's going up, one's going down. The one underneath slips underneath everything and back up. And just tie it off. Now for Tora Katsugi, what I'm doing is I'm a little bit out of range. Somebody's coming at me, but I'm at least still out of a striking range. Maybe I was jabbing to test my distance, or maybe they got up and they're coming, maybe I threw them, they got up and they're coming back at me, like they're gonna punch me, whatever it is. All I'm gonna do is push the two ends of the belt towards each other and then pull out, and it's loose. As I take a step back, I see them coming towards me, push the two ends together, pull out. As I take a big step back, I kind of blade to the side because I don't want to walk just straight back. I want to be able to see this whole half of the room when I take a step back. I can already see this quarter of the room, or this half of the room, which includes this quarter. I take a step back. Now I've just seen 3/4 of the room, everything except for what's directly behind me. My second step is the belt loop is up. I reach all the way underneath and grab it so I can pull it out. And at the same time, I grab both pieces of the belt on my hip. I'm going to pull this underneath and pull it off at the same time as I take another big step. Now I'm facing the other way. Now I've seen all 360 degrees around me. They're in range. I'm straightening the belt. I take another step back to blade and deflect that punch. They come in with a straight punch, and I'm parrying it. Again with the belt, folding in half, comes around the back, put the two loose ends through the loop. One goes up, one goes down. The one that's underneath goes under everything and back up, and then I just tie it off. When they're coming at me, I push these two ends together and pull it loose as I take a step back. Come in, I'm dropping my hands because they're still out of range even though they're coming towards me. Pushing the ends together and loosening it as I take a step back. I've now viewed this quarter of the room that was behind me before I turned. I'm going to reach all the way underneath. This belt is up. I reach all the way underneath and grab it. As I grab the belt on my hip, I pull down to loosen it and pull out to take it off as I take a step back the other way. Now I can see this quarter of the room that I didn't see. I've now seen all 360 degrees of the room in case there's somebody behind me, or in case I'm walking backwards into a wall or a chair. And the third step, pulling my hand, pulling it taut as I step back and I'm parrying the punch. One last time. Fold it in half, both ends through the loop. One up, one down. The one that's going down goes underneath everything. Tie it off. Again, they're out of range. I don't want to drop my hands if they're in striking range, but maybe I threw them, took a step back, they get up and they're still coming at me. I'm doing this as they're coming at me and they're getting up, or maybe they're dealing with somebody else or sitting down, whatever it is, they're coming towards me now, but they're still out of range. And I can see the commitment to come towards me. I'm pushing the ends of the belt in together, my thumbs go in, and I pull it loose as I take that step back. Push and step. You can see this corner of the room that I couldn't see before. I reach all the way underneath, grab this side of my belt, pull down, pull out, take another step. Now I can see this corner of the room that I couldn't see before. They're coming in at this point, they're just in range. I step back, and I'm parrying that punch, stepping to the outside. Now to finish off the strangle itself, from here, I can either just throw it over their head, step behind them and turn, or I can punch across the jawline with a hand that's back and chambered. Punch across, which is also putting the belt across the throat. Punch and turn the head. Then I step through, kind of clotheslining them with the belt to get them off balance, dropping the head, and then I come around the backside, lock, and still, again, I step behind them. So we're back to back at this point, like Maeyamakage. Except instead of throwing them all the way over, I'm just going to lift them up so that their feet are off the ground and their own body weight is going to be used to strangle them. Again, when that third punch, that third step comes in, I step back, pulling the belt taut and using it to parry that punch. I'm on the outside, they're facing this way. I can either throw the belt over, step behind them and turn, or with the hand that's behind and chambered, punch across the jawline, turning the head and snapping the belt across the throat. Then I step through, clotheslining them a little bit to get them back off balance, reach over the back, lock it in, and again, stepping behind them so that they're faced the opposite direction of me and our backs together, belts around their throat. I lean forward to get their feet off the ground, and from here, strangling them. A couple of ways to go with this, depending on if you want to strangle them or not, whether they're resisting, whether they roll off your back. If they start, once they're unconscious, if this works, they didn't roll off and you got them unconscious, you can just roll them down gently to the ground. If they start fighting you and rolling off to one side, you can let them drop, face down, still got the belt around the throat, and you just take my shin and put it across the back of the neck for counter pressure. Another option is I can go all the way forward and actually throw my Maeyamakage this way. Now they're basically facing me. I've thrown them. You can throw a knee to the head if you need to, and or step around and again drop your shin on the back of the neck to finish that strangle. Or maybe they were already unconscious and you're just letting them go. Whatever I do at the end, I just let go one end and pull it back out again. And redress. All the way through once. Coming towards me, they're out of range. So I can drop my hands, push the ends of the belt together, open it up, take a step back, reach under, pull the belt off, stepping back the other way. They come in with a punch, step back again, pulling the belt taut, parrying that punch. Either throwing it over or punching through across and clotheslining them, reaching around the backside, lock, and again stepping through or stepping over, turning and getting behind either way, just leaning forward so their body weight can strangle them. You need to let them off to the side, add pressure if you need. Maeyamakage, throw them all the way over. Optional knee, optional reinforce with the pressure, or just let them go and finish up. Tora, Katsugi.